Thanks for joining us. I'm John the Carmody. As summer is approaching the end, our kids are going back to school. If you've been a lifeguard throughout the summer, then you already know the rules. However, if you are planning on being a lifeguard for the next summer, you need to know these important rules. As we first focused in on this back in 2019, there are lifeguards that are out there doing the best job that they can to help to watch over us and enforce the rules. But when it comes to lifeguards, what that can mean is a disaster. A bit later, in just a moment, we're going to be looking at some cases of lifeguards behaving badly. Now, I came across a video on Facebook showing of a lifeguard being on her phone, and surprisingly enough, it was the lifeguard manager who was on her phone, and the person videotaped it, posted on Facebook, and there was a lot of things I wanted to say, but then I feel like I could be shut out. I could really be shut out for saying those types of things. But there's people I know that work at lifeguards, and they might have shown me support, and we do appreciate those people helping out, rescuing our kids. But when it comes to safety, that's the big straw. That's the big Swiss cheese. So the concern is, what do I do if I'm a lifeguard? What do I need to do? What are my duties? These are the 3 rules that every lifeguard must follow. If you follow these rules, then you'll know. This was posted back in 2019, before we started talking about this. They'll know to blow their whistles, enforcing the rules of beach rules. But do you realize they have their own sets of rules to follow? Lifeguards are like aquatic police officers. Just because they lay down the law does not mean they can get away with any funny business of their own. Lifeguard rules are different in every facility or beach, but there are 3 rules every lifeguard must follow, regardless of where they work. If you don't know these already, this is a great time for you to learn from the next year. When you're on duty, you're on duty. That means no drinking. Every lifeguard makes a promise from clocking on before a shift. You're there to keep everyone as safe as possible. People are relying on you. Surfers, little tykes, parents, the older folks, the list goes on and on. You can't view your shift as the way some people view their work hours. You're not just getting paid to sit in a chair. You're getting paid to save lives. And this is very important. You got to keep your eyes scanned for the pool. If you see someone drowning, you blow that fucking whistle and you go out there and rescue that person or persons. Second, no exceptions to the rules. It doesn't matter if your friend is at the beach while you're on duty, and it doesn't matter if a patron is complaining about the rules. A facility or beach set of rules is developed with safety at the forefront. You can't tweak these according to the parent patron's request. You may have to have some uncomfortable conversations if patrons complain or a fight about the rules. But it's your job to stick to them and enforce them. Be sure to verbalize that rules are there to promote safety, and it's the patron's best interest that they're followed. And finally, everyone should be at your eyesight at all times. It's like when you're babysitting. Hey, you kids, get out of here! What kind of fucking babysitting is that? Hey, be where I can see you. Where's your brother? Well, tell him to be where I can see him. What kind of fucking babysitting is that? I mean, parent leaves the child in the pool, you're babysitting my child. What kind of fucking babysitting is that for a lifeguard? No one knows the difference between a fucking babysitter and a lifeguard? Everyone should be on your eyesight at all times. People move around and come and go. But your job is to remain alert and to make sure all pool or beach visitors are at your sight. The minute patrol crosses your territory, it's your responsibility to keep an eye out for that person. It's no small feat. There are lots of people on the beach and at the pool. But it's part of your job. When you start feeling overwhelmed, talk to your advisor or manager to get tips on how to better watch other patrons at once. And Another thing, nobody, no lifeguard should be having any electronic equipment. No lifeguard should be using drugs or being intoxicated on the job or sleeping on the job. Because what if that person was drowning, you know, over that. Help! 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 Yeah, 5 more minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes, the kid's gonna drown and you're gonna end up looking like a freaking jackass. This is the big Swiss cheese here. You may sit there and say that I'm a lifeguard, I can do whatever the hell I want. But clearly, you work for the city. In the case of that video, it is your duty to make sure of this. To make sure that you know that next year comes when you're going to be the good lifeguard and knowing that these kids are out there having a great time. And when it comes to safety, it's like lifeguard daycare all over. That's lifeguard daycare all over again for some people. Well, are lifeguards maybe bad like doing drugs? We're going to introduce you to somebody that knows all about the lifeguards and like checking chemicals or coming in to work intoxicated, to even some video clips which you're about to see. And you also get to meet somebody who goes undercover with a camcorder. And he knows a lot about these rules. That's next, so please stay with us. Well, take a look at these cases of lifeguards being abandoned, like this body cam footage. This shows of this child drowning, getting in the pool and drowning, while there were few lifeguards present, and nobody did anything about it. Or how about this case of a lifeguard who was not held off on chlorinating the water because of reduced costs? Or take this example of a lifeguard being on an electronic device. You shouldn't be having that on you at all times. Even this person who's not just checking out swimmers, he's checking out the woman's behind. Are you crazy? And even this one, a lifeguard hibernating in the pool because there was nobody to watch, because there's no swimmers there. So let's hope he just gets done with his nap after, when kids are doing cannonballs in that pool. Those are just some of the examples that we're going to show you tonight. And we first talked about this back in 2019. And it made me have you ask, what are these lifeguards doing? What are they smoking? The answer might surprise you. It might have you blowing your whistle. So here's your tonight with a Give Me a Break second look.
It's the 4th of July, and with the sun finally shining and temperatures sizzling, it's time to hit the water. And these are the young men and women charged with protecting our lives while we swim.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Lifeguards, buff, busty, and brave, ready to jump in at the first sign of danger. Right? Well, maybe not always. Sure, they may look hot in their signature red bathing suits, ripped abs and tan torsos like on Baywatch. But what do we really know about the dudes and dolls behind the shades?
It's the start of swimming season, and you're outing secrets that people don't want to know.
Meet 23-year-old Harris, a former lifeguard at several pools in Texas. Tonight, he's blowing his whistle on the secret practices that he says sometimes occur high atop the lifeguard stand. And we do mean high.
Are lifeguards using drugs?
Yes, there were a couple of lifeguards who smoked weed before coming into work, or they would be still rolling from the night before.
That's something many lifeguards confess to us. And according to Harris, at one pool, not only were lifeguards coming in hungover, they would blaze up right on the job.
They check chemicals.
Checking chemicals, it's a code word.
Yes. Normally when you check chemicals it's to check the pH, but what they were doing is they were going back and smoking weed.
There are kids whose lives are potentially in your hands and they're getting high.
Yes, it's very irresponsible.
It's doubly troubling, Harris says, because actually checking the chemicals is really important to keep the pool sanitary. As they say, what happens in the pool stays in the pool.
If you're going to the pool, don't go at the end of the day, because it's full of urine and it's really quite nasty.
Ugh, how do you know that?
You can tell by the color. At the start of the day, it's really, really a pretty blue. At the end of the day, it's more yellow.
Ick factor aside, discolored water can pose a more hidden health hazard. It makes it harder for lifeguards to see people. Take the tragic case of mom Marie Joseph. Look at this security video. That's Marie coming down the slide. Her head bobs above the water for a moment before she sinks to the bottom of the pool. Multiple lifeguards were on duty, including this one directly in front of her.
I just don't see how they missed it. Somebody wasn't doing their job.
But the water was so murky, none of them noticed her submerged body. See here as the pool went from blue to dark green. An investigation later revealed that a pool manager held off on chlorinating the water to reduce costs.
Water's really strange. Either you're having fun or you're dying.
Roughly 4,000 Americans drown each year, and 1 in 5 children who drown in swimming pools do so with a lifeguard present. Surveillance cameras caught this 15-year-old drowning after going down this water slide. The teen was underwater for more than 5 minutes. Where was the lifeguard? According to the family's attorney, busy at the basketball court.
We're at the pool and there's a young boy who has lost consciousness.
By the time someone finally noticed the kid at the bottom of the pool, it was too late. Shockingly, no guard was disciplined.
It's silent, it's quiet, and it's sudden.
Kathleen Kuczynski's 4-year-old son drowned at this ritzy country club pool.
Let's just say my son was found 10 feet from an empty lifeguard chair. Is there anything else that I really need to say?
She believes too few lifeguards are trained properly.
I've talked to hundreds of guards, literally, and I asked this question: how many of you feel like you would recognize a swimmer in trouble immediately? Not one hand has ever been raised. Never, not one.
A lot of lifeguards are not prepared for something really bad happening.
And here's the thing, it's actually quite challenging to spot a kid drowning, as I found out for myself with a test dummy named Timmy.
I've got my underwater camera on. They're gonna hide the mannequin Timmy somewhere in the pool. I've gotta find it. How hard can this really be?
Timmy is right at the edge of the pool, just feet in front of me, a spot where many young kids called wall huggers drown. I scan the pool over and over again and can't find him.
This mannequin was not in my line of sight at all. I can tell you, I never saw it. Never once.
Getting ready to start an aquatic facility operational audit?
Meet Rack Carroll. He's no ordinary water park guest, but rather an undercover boss, the head of Ellis & Associates, a lifeguard training company. Today, he's here at an indoor water park in Pennsylvania, playing a game of cat and mouse with his trainees, armed with a video camera to secretly see who's paying attention.
We want to be able to see a guest in distress within 10 seconds so that we're not being reactive to a situation where somebody may already be on the bottom.
Carroll does this regularly because, frankly, there were endless examples of lifeguards behaving badly, all caught on tape. Look at this lifeguard totally tuning out the pool, listening to his iPod.
No lifeguard should ever be provided any electronic equipment, certainly no texting or talking on the phone.
This guy seems to have something else on his mind besides safety. He's looking everywhere but at the swimmers. Is he checking out that woman's phone? Worst of all may be this guard. He's gone into full hibernation mode. Fortunately, no one is swimming. Let's hope he returns from La La Land before some kid cannonballs into the deep end. But secretly surveilling the guards is only step one.
How realistic of a simulation is this dumb drill?
It's as realistic as it gets. It's a situation where we have a crowded pool, where lifeguards are focused on their zones and scanning their water. It's the only real-time evaluation of a lifeguard on the stand.
With Carol's supervision, we conducted one of our own drills with our trusty mannequin, Timmy. Would these unsuspecting lifeguards be able to spot him with our hidden cameras rolling? Watch as one of our producers sneaks Timmy in the pool. In less than 5 seconds, the lifeguard Blake, 18, sees something, blows his whistle, and jumps in.
Did you think it was a real kid drowning?
Honestly, like, I'm just scanning the waters, and if I see something that's, like, not out of the norm, like, I go in and check it out, no matter if it's, like, a garbage bag to a kid, you know? Doesn't make a difference to me.
Yeah, you were pretty quick, less than 5 seconds.
We're not just, like, people who just can, you know, big macho people with their shirts off. We actually, like, we're just saving people's lives.
Ellis lifeguards have become superb at the drills. The average response time is 3 seconds. But Harris warns that's no reason for parents to mistake the pool for daycare.
Parents will drop their kids off at the pool and they don't have any supervision except for the lifeguards.
So parents think you're just cheap babysitting
I
service.
guess so.
And not only do kids need to be monitored constantly, Rat Carroll says so do the guards.
But isn't it uncomfortable to have to go to the lifeguard or the manager and say, sorry, I don't think he's scanning the pool?
It may be uncomfortable, but it's a whole lot more comfortable than dealing with your child being on the bottom of the pool.
And nobody wants to deal with it these days because no one cares. If you don't like your job being a lifeguard, quit it. Don't ever do that because there's a difference between babysitting and lifeguards. Both of those meaning you can't be having both those meaning there's no electronic devices on. You have to you have to babysit the kids at all times and make sure you follow the directions, follow the rules of babysitting. That's another episode. Want me to start season 9? So the bottom line here is this. If you're going to be a lifeguard, know the rules. No texting, no talking on the phone. Don't be looking at other swimmers' asses. That's just totally wrong. That is wrong indeed. So wrong. Doesn't matter when there's no swimming. And no sleeping on the job either. It's just common sense. It's just common sense. But even worse when, you're being arrested for something being stupid. We may have entered our back to school month, but as we're approaching the new school year, there's an update now to this new cell phone policy. From Texas. Is there any more updates about it since then? Well, we'll let you know. And we're going to have the dumbest reasons why kids got suspended. Or even arrested for that matter. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We ain't getting suspended from school. But as we're approaching the 2025-2026 school year, I don't want to see kids getting suspended for even I don't want to see dumb reasons why kids are getting suspended or even being arrested for throwing a tantrum. We're not going back to 2005 in Florida, but would you be suspended for something like this? Look at that. This was one of the suspensions. This 12-year-old kid is out of Matt Bonner, NBA star, drawn on the back of his head. I mean, look at this. It's a pretty good haircut, but this kid was given an in-school suspension for violating the school's dress code. And he had to shave his head bald to go back to school. It's like crushing Doritos. That's like making Snoop Dogg's ramen noodles. You crush those Doritos. And you chop the beef jerky. Patrick Gonzalez, 12 years old, Wheeling High School, drew Matt Bonner on the back of his head. But after that story, it was on the news, and Matt Bonner liked it so much, he gave the kid playoff tickets and autographed swag. It's like t-shirts and jerseys, that kind of stuff. Swag. Next one is just hugging a friend. In Florida, it doesn't make sense, only in Florida. A Florida middle schooler, Martinez, thought nothing of giving his best friend, a female student, a quick hug between classes. He was suspended for the embarrassed, and as it turns out, Southern Middle School Palm Bay has a strict no hugging policy in order to prevent harassment and keep students focused on learning. At a time when the bullying epidemic is such a grave concern, mutual patriotic embrace should be punished, according to the Stir. I mean, it's no PDA. If you do more than holding hands, you're committing PDA. T-bowing. Matt Bonnie's the only athlete responsible for a student suspension. There was a group of there was 44 kids that were suspended. A group of high schoolers in New York were suspended after mimicking quarterback Tim Tebow's T-bowing stance in a hallway during Riverhead High. 4 boards were kneeling imposed between classes, inspiring upwards of 40 other classes joined in. School officials cited the coroner for causing a traffic jam in the hallway, apparent violation of the school rules. But they're so obsessed with T-bowing. Going here for charity. According to the dress code, 2.5 inches. When I was 17 years old, Giant Hart gets busted for going out of his hair for charity. He was only measured about 2.5 inches before he was suspended by his school, Madison Academy, for violating the dress code. Boys' hair should be off the collar. Now, next one is a 6-year-old boy singing a song, Sexy and I Know It by LMFAO. He was suspended for sexual harassment. You're singing a song, that's not sexual harassment. You're just singing a song, that's not sexual harassment. I mean, you would sing Billy Jean's Not My Love. You two would turn out all right. You would sing Billy Jean's Not My Love, and you would turn out okay. This one got a lot of attention. The 9-year-old in Gastonia, North Carolina, suspended for sexual harassment. Because, get this, he was overheard telling a friend, all he said was, Miss Taylor was cute. Wait in my office. Call the teacher cute. You what? Oh, that's it, my boy. You're suspended. You are suspended for 4 fucking days. Come here, boy. I'm gonna give you 4 lashes. Count them out. Come here, boy. I'm gonna give you 20 lashes. Count them out. What you spent for? Calling a teacher cute? What's wrong with that? It was just a compliment. And then they realize after whooping the parents realize after whooping the kid's ass, it's like, he was just giving the teacher a compliment. There was no sexual harassment. There was no grabbing ass or going on like this, whatever. There was none of that. It was just freaking Miss Taylor is cute. I had a lot of teachers growing up, but I would never once tell one female teacher that they're cute. If I did, it would have been making inappropriate public references. Finally, the chivalry. Now, a junior middle school, a student in Southampton Middle School was given a 1-day suspension. A 1-day suspension for holding the exterior door for a adult who had her hands full. My hands are full. Here, let me get the door for you. I once held the door for over 100 students. And it would be like, it was like this. You're welcome. 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 According to school district superintendent, a strict rule is essential to ensure that high-tech security system is effective. Well, now we know with this thing. Would you ever want to see kids getting arrested for like dumb reasons, like for burping, doodling, or throwing a tantrum? Not till you see these particular cases. We'll talk about that next. Imagine going to the post office and seeing these crimes on those 10 most wanted flyers. Classroom edition. Burping. Doodling. Throwing a tantrum. Bad behavior to be sure, but is it worthy of arrest at 5 years old? As we told you many times before, these are crimes that got kids handcuffed by police. Of course, every school year we as parents want law and order in our classrooms. But wonder what it cost. What does it cost? For stupidity? Remember this last year? Remember this body cam footage from years ago? There was, remember back 2005? The Florida girl got arrested. Remember this 2 years ago? Back in 2023, a child was throwing a tantrum and he was handcuffed. We're almost at 20 years. This first time this happened was 20 years ago when a 5-year-old girl in St. Petersburg, Florida, was arrested for throwing a tantrum in preschool. At 5 years old. And now we get something like this. According to the police report, on 2/2/23 at approximately 9:50, Officer Mosley responded to Essential Elementary School in reference to Officer asking for another uniform unruly child. Upon my arrival, I was escorted by staff to a back room where I found extensive papers and books scattered all over the floor. The room was occupied by multiple female staff, and also reporting also female. The juvenile was blank, 9 years old, was sitting on the floor angrily throwing various paper, cardboard items on the floor to include school staff. This was all written in this police report. All this was according to police report. We're not showing this whole video. But he was just like throwing stuff, all that stuff, and the teachers were just all this, and when we get to the handcuff part, we're gonna stop. But this was all caught on tape. Are we really going back to 2005 here? Yes, we are. But for this kid right here, it would have been handled by a parent. There's a second officer that came in. And he's like, what do you want to do? Oh, we'll just arrest him. No, I don't want to do that. I want to go back to 2005. It's 2025. This was back in 2023. It's 2025. And we should be arresting kids. You know, we should be teaching these kids right for very minor behavior. And look at where the handcuffs come on. He's like screaming, let these off me, blah, blah, blah. He's shouting profanity words. How about even a 6-year-old? A 6-year-old, well, think if we look up a 5-year-old girl handcuffed by St. Petersburg. If you were to look up a 5-year-old arrested for throwing a tantrum, That's the one we have not shown you. We talked about the one in Chris Cuomo's report. But this was back in April 2005. There was no video. Now, hadn't there been a video, we would have shown it to you. There's probably not a video. Yes, there is. Let me just do a little something here. There. This was on Harvey Karp back in 2005. A 5-year-old girl handcuffed by St. Petersburg, Florida police for throwing a tantrum. Take a look.
It led to investigation continues into the circumstances that led to a 5-year-old girl being handcuffed by police in Florida. St. Petersburg police were called to the Fairmount Park Elementary School after a little girl threw a temper tantrum. Well, the girl's mother says, there you can see the deputies coming in to handcuff her. The girl's mother says that handcuffing was incomprehensible, while school officials say they weren't left with many options. Joining us from Los Angeles is Dr. Harvey Karp, author of several books on child behavior, including Happiest Toddler on the Block, also available on DVD. Dr. Karp, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You just heard the school officials there saying that this child's mother gave the school strict instructions not to touch her child. So what are school officials supposed to do with someone who has a temper tantrum that lasts this long?
Well, school officials never are supposed to touch kids unless you have to do it to protect their safety or to keep them from being disruptive. And I think that they did a good job in this case, actually. They really only touched her when she was climbing up on top of the table or when she was hitting at them. There are 3 steps to deal with any very disruptive behavior, and these school officials did a couple of them well, and one of them I think they could have done better. The 3 steps are to stop the disruptive behavior, the second is engage emotionally, and the third is to rebuild the rapport. Now, they stopped the behavior, they took her out of the room, they isolated her, they wouldn't let her do dangerous things. I think in terms of engaging emotionally, they could have done a better job to emotionally respond to her, to let her know that they see it from her point of view, rather than just standing over her and saying that's unacceptable behavior, which is hard for a 5-year-old to understand. They could have empathized more and gone, that was really hard, you didn't like that, that made you so upset. Now, I'm not saying you allow bad behavior, but you at least let them know that you see it from their perspective as well. And the third thing which they did well is to start rebuilding rapport. And that's when they sat her down and they start putting the paper back in the garbage can, or they walk her to the next room. And when she cooperated, they praised her. They said, you made an excellent choice. And I think that was good on their part.
Good on their part. Well, the 5-year-old girl handcuffed by St. Petersburg, Florida police for throwing a fucking tantrum. It's bad behavior, but, is it worthy of arrest? Well, not exactly. It's a dumb reason to get arrested. We've shown this to you many times, and I think it's appropriate to show it. I think it's appropriate to show it to you again. Here's what's called.
Bad things can happen at school. Guns, drugs, bullying. And as you can see in all those videos on the internet, classrooms run amok.
Shut up and sit down.
So it is for good reason that more and more police are on the beat in hallways and classrooms across the country. But in this climate of controlling behavior, have we gone too far? Case in point, the Texas girl's in the news right now for getting spanked.
After she got caught helping another student cheat, Taylor got a paddle to the backside.
Too hard, their mothers say, by a male vice principal.
Giving her a swat behind closed doors? That is creepy.
Yep, spanking, still legal in schools in 19 states. The 9-year-old in Gastonia, North Carolina, suspended for sexual harassment because, get this, He was overheard telling a friend,
I said Miss Terry was cute.
his teacher was cute. The school later apologized and forced the principal to retire. And this video stunned the nation in 2005. Remember the 5-year-old girl handcuffed by St. Petersburg, Florida police for throwing a tantrum in preschool? How can this be? Advocates say the combination of cops and kids in the classroom is having all kinds of unintended consequences. Some of them so ridiculous, you literally can't make this stuff up.
Your daughter's school decided to have her arrested?
When she was just 12 years old, Alexa was arrested in her New York City middle school, searched, handcuffed, taken away by 4 of New York's finest.
Had you ever been in a police station?
No.
Had you ever been arrested?
No.
Alexa's now 15, but remembers her crime like it was yesterday. Doodling on a desk, with an erasable marker, no less.
So you wrote on the desk. It's not like pulling a knife on somebody, but you're not supposed to write on the desk, true?
Yes.
Are you a graffiti artist?
No.
Did you used to spray paint right all over the walls in school?
Never.
Were you known as that?
No.
Alexa, like some funny tag name that you had that you used?
No.
Alexa had the very bad luck to be attending a school with a zero tolerance for graffiti, and, as her mother would tell you, a similar score in common sense. She says the school officers search her, make her take off some of her clothes. Then, they don't just call her mother, Maraima Camacho. They call the cops from the precinct across the street.
When I saw the police officer go for the handcuffs, I said, you gotta be kidding me.
So they arrest your daughter, they put her in handcuffs. Like a thug.
Right. And she was not resisting arrest.
Turned me over and hands behind my back.
And you got handcuffed?
Metal handcuffs.
At 12?
Yes.
For doodling on a desk?
Erasable marker.
She was crying. She was so scared.
Maybe you find it hard to understand how a little girl gets arrested for writing on a desk. After all, it's not like she perpetrated some heinous crime, something really inexcusable like illegal burping.
I burped and I said, "Excuse me." She said to quit talking, I'm disrupting.
Francisco Montano is 15 now, plays baseball. He's a slugger. But 2 years ago, when he was 13 in the 7th grade at Cleveland Middle School in Albuquerque, New Mexico, he says he got busted for burping. The school and the police say it was more than that. He was disrupting the class and refused to obey the teacher. And for that, he got arrested.
Officer came up to me. He said because I was disrupting the educational process, he handcuffed me and he drove me to the detention center.
Then the detention center called his mother, Annette Montano.
And he said our son was arrested and detained for belching in class. I said, are you seriously telling me he's in jail for burping? And he said, that's what it looks like to me now.
Francisco was never prosecuted. Instead, he's now suing the school and the police. The Albuquerque police say they only make arrests if the disruption is so bad the teacher can't teach and students can't learn. America's most wanted? They are not, says civil rights advocate Judith Brown Deannis.
It is ridiculous. It is extreme discipline. We have gone over the top with this, and instead of teaching children the right behaviors, instead of nurturing them, we're hauling them off in handcuffs.
Francisco Negron is with the National School Boards Association.
I don't think there's a public school to prison pipeline, and I certainly don't think that the presence of school resource officers is in some way contributing to that.
We know there are some bad things going on in our schools. There's gang activity, heavy drug activity, bullying in the extreme where the violence is real, and maybe you have to make sure that those kids get pulled out of the
But that's not what we're talking about. Everyone wants safety in the schools. We want discipline in our schools, but we don't need to see our children put into the juvenile justice system for very minor behavior that could have been handled by a parent.
An Education Department civil rights survey earlier this year shows nearly 100,000 kids arrested in schools. In New York, Alexa, our doodler, fought back. She sued the city.
This is not about the money. We don't want this to happen again to any other child.
While admitting no wrongdoing, the city paid Alexa a 6-figure settlement. The criminal charges were dropped, and the case is sealed. But that arrest is still on Alexa's record.
She has an arrest record.
Her attorney, Joseph Rosenthal, says the school's wrong will haunt Alexa for years to come.
For the rest of her life, she has to say, yes, I was arrested.
I would not imagine being arrested for something that dumb. But you know, it's what can happen. We're gonna take a break. Be right back. As long as we're on the subject of getting arrested for dumb music in our schools, I came across a video from TYT, Leon Turks. Would you ever be arrested for looking at porn in your school? Great, the fucking goat. I don't go no way. Well, explain.
2 11-year-old boys were viewing porn on a school computer. They now face criminal charges.
Alright, so here's how it works. They're in 5th grade, right? It's in Utah.
It's in Utah.
The computers are set up in a way that they block all the sites.
Yeah, they have internet filters.
But the guys broke through. The kids are clever, and they typed in the word lesbian.
They typed in the word lesbian, and apparently images popped up. And what they did on several different occasions is they showed that lesbian image to their friends, right?
As any good friend would.
Right. And what ended up happening is one of their friends went and told their parents, another friend went and told the principal.
Yeah.
So these 2 boys get caught.
Alright, so the principal says, I'm going to suspend you. I'm on board for that. Look, I don't mind, and this is the most, kid thing you've ever done in your life, right? But you're supposed to have consequences for doing kid things, right? And if the principal suspends you for looking at porn in the class, that makes perfect sense, right? But then they call the cops. And they're going to do a criminal complaint against these kids for showing porn to underage kids. But they're underage. They're 11. Do you know how many of my friends would have been arrested if we all got arrested for showing porn to one another when we were underage? Every single one of us.
Right.
Okay? They'd have been like, it's go time, go, go, go! And they bust down the doors, and here's how we're all showing porn to one another. You know why we did that? Because we were kids. And we were like, oh my god, that's what it looks like? Alright? I mean, come on, arresting kids for that?
Right.
God, that is unbelievable. No, but the reason I get so angry at this, and this is the story that made me really angry today, it's because we've lost sense of touch with all common sense. Like, it's just flown out the window. I mean, kids can't be kids anymore. What are 11, 12, 13-year-old kids going to do? They're going to try to find porn. They're going to type in lesbian on a computer. And everybody's head explodes. And by the way, you know what happened when those kids looked at lesbians? Not a damn thing. What happened? They all of a sudden became perverts or something? Oh my god, I can't believe it. If my 11-year-old kid, and I know that's young, right? But if he's not trying to bust onto a computer to see lesbians, I'm going to have issues. I'm going to be like, come on, son. I mean, of course not, right? That's too young, la 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 la, right? But that being said, on a serious note, if I caught him doing that, I'd be like, all right, son, your mom tells me that it's not the right way to go.
Your mom tells me.
Okay, and I can't have it. But I know I did the same thing when I was 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so secretly I'd be thinking, way to figure it out, man. You broke the freaking code. By the way, how hard was it to break that code? Type in lesbian, you get lesbian. It's a great firewall on the
Right,
computer.
great internet filter.
Yeah.
And it's funny because one of the parents was like, the mother of one of these boys was like, well, how did my son even have the ability to access that on a school computer, right? And they're like, oh, all these porn sites, they're constantly changing their URLs, and they're being sneaky and finding ways to make it easy for people to find this porn, right? And it's like, it's so stupid. Like, okay, yeah, blame the porn sites. But whatever. Like you said, I don't think it's a big deal. Boys look up porn all the time. It's one thing to punish them and suspend them and, slap them on the wrist and talk to them about it. But it's another thing to send them to a juvenile detention center, which is what they're planning on doing.
And by the way, they're saying, they'll get some counseling and something. And what are you going to get counseling for? That your kid going through puberty and you're interested in sex, you're going to counsel them out of that?
Right.
What? Seriously, what the hell are you supposed to do in counseling? All right, little Peter, I don't want you to think about your little Peter. Okay? You're having bad thoughts about lesbians, and we need to counsel you out of that. This country is just, we've become so, in some ways we go crazy, right? And there's sex flowing out of everywhere. In other ways, we're still so damn prudish, and we want to put these kids in a bubble and protect them from anything that is adult-like and make sure they never grow up. And it's crazy. I'm not in favor of the kids looking at porn, but I'm not going to send them to counseling or to the cops.
Right.
It's absolutely crazy.
It's crazy. I'm all for suspension, but no arrests. Or going to juvie. That's what I'm all for.
With certified collagen filtration, something extraordinary happens. You get cleaner, safer.
What about being arrested for farting? You know what kids do? They fart. What if you were to fart in school? You doing that in school when the teacher like today guys go. Who did that? You do it. Who did that? They found out it was you. Like, hey, quit it. That's him calling the police. Police! We have a four-wheel passing gasser. Arrest him. Go, 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 go. Gun on the ground right now. You're under arrest for farting in school. Okay. Walk to my car. Okay, okay. That's what boys do.
A boy in Florida, 12-year-old student, got arrested for passing gas.
Come on, that story is true.
He was doing. It is true. I have documents to prove it. Apparently, he was doing it on purpose to disrupt the class. So
Well, then he had to come.
So the police arrested him, and I obviously don't think that they took him to jail. They took him back home. But apparently, he would do it on purpose. He would just pass gas in the middle of.
Yeah, no, that's unconscionable, man. You gotta be kidding me. Where did this happen?
This happened in Florida.
Now, why is every freaky story from Florida?
I know, seriously.
I know. What the hell's going down in Florida, man? It's crazy. Dude, you can't arrest a kid for farting. How old is the kid?
12 years old.
12 years old? He's a 12-year-old boy. You know what they do? They fart. You can't arrest him for that. I don't care if he does it 28 times in a row.
He did that.
Look. You can suspend him. You can give him detention. You can kick him out of class, give him detention. It's not that I'm morally permissible, that I have no moral anchor as a lib, right? No, but come on, dude. You can even suspend him because he's an excessive farter. Okay? But you can't arrest the 12-year-old for farting. I don't know why I have to explain these things to people.
Right.
I mean, what cop in their right mind was like, oh, yeah, let's write this kid up?
I don't really know how that's even legal. I mean, and he did other things, like he would turn off the computers in class to disrupt others.
Oh, see, I knew this story wasn't true.
But why is that any worse? I mean, he turned off the computers, boo-hooed him, turned it back on.
Yeah, again, you can't arrest them for that either. But I wonder if they had. See, now you're like, they can make an argument about something about property, right? I don't believe that argument, and you should definitely not arrest them for that either. But it's not just the farting. That's crazy.
Well, yeah, it's the farting coupled with him turning off the computers.
That's it? That's all
That's
he
it.
did?
That's all the documents say.
This is from Smoking Gun, so it's a real story, okay? But, all right, well, it's just, you know what the problem is? Like, we used to be kids, right? And they used to let us be kids. I remember I farted in Miss Elefante's class.
Interesting.
And Miss Elefante was like, who did that? And she was outraged, and she demanded to know who farted, and nobody would say, and we had a great time.
Why would she do that? That's so cruel. Did you do it on purpose?
I was a 12-year-old kid. I was almost exactly 12. I might have been 11, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I probably did it on purpose. Yeah, I'm sure I did it on purpose. I was a wise ass, right? Okay, anyway, they didn't arrest us for that back then. We used to get into fights all the time, and they wouldn't arrest us.
Yeah, definitely.
Now you sneeze the wrong way and they arrest you. I don't know, man. If there isn't more to that story, arresting him just based on turning computers on and off for farting is absolutely outrageous. We gotta give kids their childhood back, man. Let them fart! Let them fart!
Exactly. Even if you look... Right. Even if you were to look up farting... in school... be like this.
This is English. It's very quiet. It sucks when you have to fart. I don't always fart, but when I do, I try to make it loud.
Who did that?
Who did that?
He did. Oh, that shit. Oh, shit. Damn. Oh, God. Stop with the farting, man. And this kid's really funny, I tell you what. This is outrageous. They fart. Would you ever be arrested for farting? I wouldn't. I would not fart in school or in church. Oh, you fart? Okay, you're going to jail. Even worse when you're spraying liquid ass. We're gonna take a break. Right back. Finally, this is something like I want to see a teacher being fired for like a dumb reason. Would you ever be fired as a teacher for telling the truth about Santa Claus?
A teacher, a female teacher in the UK, has been fired because she told her students, okay, that Santa Claus doesn't exist.
No, but here's the problem with firing her. She's right. It's like you fire somebody for saying 2 + 2 = 4, but here, really, kids are upset because they wanted it to equal 5.
Right.
I know, I feel bad for them, but it really does equal 4.
She straight out told those kids, Santa Claus doesn't exist. It's your parents that are putting the presents under your tree.
I love her, man. I love her in 18 different ways. Now, I love Santa, don't get me wrong, and I feel bad for the kids. How old are they?
I know that they were in elementary school. It doesn't specify how old they were.
Right. But by the way, by elementary school, man, by the time you get into school, come on, kid. Get a little bit more savvy than that. When I was in, like, 5th grade, I didn't think it was Santa. I don't think people thought that in 3rd
No,
grade.
definitely not. I think by 2nd grade I knew what the truth was.
They're firing her because she's teaching a bunch of knuckleheads.
Right.
Well, hey, man, there's no Santa. Yeah, you idiot. Of course there's no Santa.
It's funny too because before they fired her, she had to apologize to all these parents, like have a written apology, and then they still
Somebody already fired her. So
Yeah.
what the hell?
Well, they fired her after she wrote the apology.
Oh, I'd be so mad if I was her.
The same thing happened to me at one of my jobs.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm ready to talk about this. It's not a big deal.
Okay, you crushed little kids' dreams.
No. I did something a lot worse. When I was working at the car dealership with my boyfriend, I used to take like 2-hour lunches.
You know what that is? That's theft. You're stealing from the company.
No, I did. I totally did. Because I would clock out for half an hour, which was, the time that we got for lunch. And then we would take so long because, you know, we'd go and have a nice lunch together. And finally, one of the girls ratted me out, and I got caught. And my boss, yeah. And my boss told me, you know, you need to write an apology letter to me and to the owner of the dealership. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And I really didn't want to lose my job. So it was like this really heartfelt letter, and I'm thinking everything's going to be okay. I gave her the letter. Within an hour, she called me back, and she's like, I need you to come into my office. So I did. And she's like, I need you to sign this. You're terminated.
Can't do it. From the sky. Okay, look, you're a wonderfully naive little girl. What she was doing was she was getting you to admit that you did it so that you couldn't complain about it later. So you couldn't sue them. So if she went to court, she'd be like, well, if that's true, why did Anna Kasparian write this apology letter?
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that. But, I mean, look, I'm pretty sure, first of all, if she fired me without having any type of proof like that, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't sue her.
I know, but she doesn't know that for 100%. She's covering her ass.
I'm so stupid for writing that letter. And it was like it was so heartfelt. Like, I love this company and but you know what? It was the best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest with you.
Okay.
It really was. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
Oh.
If I had heard about this story, I don't know what would have happened, but I would have been in the teacher's shoes telling people there was no Santa Claus. I don't know what else to say. That's all for now. Join us next time for another edition of Give Me a Break.